Merv arrived in New York when people like Marlon Brando and Montgomery Clift, James Dean, all of these contemporaries of his were sort of bursting onto the scene.
It is also the dawn of the golden age of television.
Merv was part of a generational shift in entertainment, and in the way we now sort of see the internet as that same sort of sea change in the way entertainment is delivered. Television was that when Merv arrived in New York in the 50s, and he was on the ground floor of that experiment.
In 1958, Merv successfully auditions for MC of the quiz show Play Your Hunch. The same year, Griffin marries Julan Wright, a production secretary for CBS. A year later, the couple give birth to a son, Tony. For Tony, the realization that his father is famous is a shock.
I just went up to a friend of mine and said, "Hey, what time's your dad on TV?" And he said, "What?" I said, "What time's your dad on TV?" "Mine's on at 3. And he goes, "Oh, my dad isn't on TV." When I finally realized was when everybody would mob him outside of his show for his autograph. I'd be like, wow, that's really wild.
In 1962, Merv Griffin fills in for Jack Parr on his regular Monday night off.
Jack Parr was someone he watched very carefully and was a part of how Merv became Merv Griffin, the talk show host.
Thank you very much. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Griffin is popular with audiences, so NBC rewards him with his own daytime talk show. But Merv doesn't do as well in the ratings as NBC expects, and the show is canceled after just a year. But the network does not anticipate the public's backlash.
They got 160,000 letters saying this show should stay on. The suits didn't quite know what to make of Merv. They thought it was perhaps too smart for television.
I've got it. Right
you
there.
got something there.
Right there.
It is the largest amount of mail ever received by a network in support of a canceled show. But the fans don't have to wait long. Merv returns to TV with his own show, Word for Word, for which he is producer and star. Inspired by his love of words and puzzles, Griffin sees the show as an opportunity to create a profitable, popular TV format. But history will soon repeat itself. After a year, NBC cancels the show. An exec tells Merv, game shows aren't perhaps your forte. Undeterred, Griffin is determined to come up with a winning formula. But a national scandal soon puts Merv's plans in jeopardy.
How do you feel about the charges, sir?
In 1958, it is revealed that the winner of the popular game show 21 had been given the correct answers by the show's producers.
My dad was distraught. He goes, "You know how much I love game shows, and now look, this has just ruined us because they cheated, and now we can't do game shows." She said, "Why not?"
Julan suggests a way to win back the audience's trust.
She goes, "Well, why don't you give the answers? 62 Baker Street, or where does Sherlock Holmes live?" So that's how that sequence came to become Jeopardy.
Home in New York, the couple fine-tuned the concept, eventually shooting a pilot episode which they show to network execs.
And the suit said, you know, this is nothing. This is never going to work. It's too smart. It's not going to hold people's attention.
This Too Smart for TV show will go on to air in more than 20 countries, including Australia, Russia, and Mexico. Next on CNBC Titans, Griffin is fed up with network bosses and stakes his future on a new syndicated talk show.
We'll take a break and be right back.
He'd mix them up like chess pieces, trying to get that interesting interview. He was always doing that. He was always trying to create a little bit of controversy on the set.
We'll be right back.
In April 1963, NBC cancels Merv Griffin's daytime talk show. But Griffin as talk show host isn't off television for long. Hearing about the audience outcry that accompanied the cancellation of Merv's previous show, Westinghouse offers him a syndication deal. Syndication enables Griffin to produce and sell his show directly to local stations instead of a national network.
Merv had his agent on the phone literally at the moment of cancellation saying, okay, we're taking the deal, we're going to go into syndication. That was unprecedented.
And there is another financial bonus that comes with syndication: advertising dollars.
Kent's give you the fullest, richest smoke.
In addition to the licensing fee you're charging each station, you're getting a percentage of advertising sales time. You don't make a ton of money producing a show for a network, but what you do make money on is syndication.
For Griffin, syndication is a golden opportunity.
It basically broke the stranglehold that the networks had on television. Merv was at, the vanguard of that.
He always said, don't, give it away. Always own your own shows. Very important.
The money Griffin makes through syndication doesn't go unnoticed amongst his network rivals, including the king of late night, Johnny Carson.
One thing that I think upset Johnny Carson, because Johnny Carson made a lot of money, but he didn't own his own show where he could really make a lot of money. And we'd always hear through the grapevine that Johnny wasn't happy because, Merv owns his own show and he's getting more money than me. But it was a very smart thing for him to do.
Empowered by creative freedom, Griffin refuses to shy away from controversial subjects.
What you do is you book the best possible guests from different kinds of businesses. Maybe not everybody in show business, some politics, some newspaper people. Get them all on a stage together and hope that something works.
He didn't really care terribly much whether people who thought they knew better didn't agree with him. And invariably, that attracted people.
But it's a great show. It's a great platform for people who have